Hello, everyone. So, today, my topic of discussion is about how much funding goes into providing deaf services. And it's something to think about. It's something, a lot of money does go into it. So, the World Health Organization, is a leading global force. And on their website, there is a page where you can find the topic of deaf people and how much of a social economic burden they can be. And it discusses how much money goes into each individual. And that's a topic that, I thought was very interesting, seeing as a world leading organization provides. And so I figured I'd do my own research. And through that research, I picked out 4 topics within those that are deaf related and where the funding goes. First one being research, second one technology, third one being special education, all the services provided with them, and then the third one being social security and funding support. And so all this encompasses my own perspective and how I'm tackling this subject. And apparently, it takes about $300,000 to fund each deaf person. And when you consider that, nationally speaking, with all the millions of deaf consumers, that's a big number. And so I had to go and do research even further on that number. So all of these 4 topics, research, technology, special education, what is the goal with all of that? And for the government, it is to basically normalize deaf people. Because deaf people are seen as so different from the rest of society that we have to almost root them back to regular norms. So if you really think about it, when you pose that question, are deaf people a financial burden? So research in itself, something 13. And so there's a national institution for the deaf and they're proud to inform people about all that funding and that Fund 13. So there goes about $400 million into research for how to normalize deafness and how to get hearing into deaf people. So when you get that number, 400 million, on that first topic of research, we're going to move on forward to technology. So let me go back to research real quick before I move on. That number, 400 million. So when a deaf person is born, the government realizes, there's going to be a specific. So when a deaf person is born, what they're trying to do is seeing how they can fix that problem, how medically you can target that problem, and solve it. So the second topic we're going to discuss is technology. And one of the biggest topics in technology being cochlear implants is that being a solution that they think that they're providing for the deaf people. So what does that mean for technology? It means, again, that they are using it to normalize deaf people. They are rerouting deafness as a whole to eradicate that and make sure that everyone is following the norm and has hearing standards. And now we're going to discuss the cost for special education. So there are different departments that handle that. And I decided to go over and do a little research myself on the topic of the funding and the cost of special education. And that is roughly around 11 million. So special education as a whole, it doesn't just doesn't just include deaf people. It includes a variety of disabilities, people with different. But so I was looking for, then I was looking at many different programs, and one that is individually related to deaf society. And I was looking at, the funding that goes into that, and it was roughly around $44 million. And that just goes to show that is to normalize deaf children and to give them the funding to provide, the technology needed to normalize them, whether it's, speech therapy or, hearing aids or other equipment. And all that extra assistance that goes into normalizing it. And the fourth now being so that number 3 billion can be routed into SSI or SSDI, which is funding that helps assist on a monthly basis. So did you guys catch that number? Did you see that? The first 3 alone, technology and everything, the full value for that one is. But the first 3 numbers all encompass in the billions of dollars. And it's very strange, and I ask myself, is it true that we are a financial burden? Is it true that all this funding goes in? But I decided, wait, let me look at this differently. Let me clarify real quick. On the topic of research, I understand. And on the topic of special education, you got to remember that it's not just deaf people. Deaf people make a small number of that. So when you look at that big number, you encompass that. It's not just. Now, from a medical service provider's perspective, again, we're going back to that, how they're trying to fix the problem of deafness. But in the deaf community, we value ourselves as equals. We don't see ourselves as having to be normalized. And we ourselves analyze ourselves, and we don't see a problem with the rest of society. But, government and the rest of society thinks otherwise, and they think that we should be normalized. And that's where most of the funding goes to, rerouting us for us to be of a hearing culture, when we're all so different. So my ideas, my thoughts encompass what? Funding that's actually beneficial